What's going on, everybody out in YouTube land, and welcome back to a new episode of GBA. In this video I want to have another little conversation video, and the topic at hand today is the worst things about owning a big video game collection or having a game room in general. So yeah, I've been wanting to talk about this for a little while because having a game room and a giant video game collection isn't all great. I mean, there are some bad things about having video game collections and game rooms. And in this video, I wanted to discuss what my opinions are and what my reasons for, thinking this is in general. So I hate to call this like a list video because, everybody's going to have different opinions on this. But I've wrote down basically like 6 points that I want to talk about that I consider are reasons why having huge game rooms is a negative thing. So yeah, the first one on my list, if you guys see me look down, I've got some notes written down here or whatnot. But the number one thing that I wanted to talk about is reorganizing. So I don't know if you guys enjoy it or not, but I absolutely hate reorganizing my game room. And, there's many reasons why you might have to do that, whether you just want to switch things around. Or, for me, primarily, it's when I start getting too many games for a specific system, and I have to move another system off a shelf to somewhere else to make room for more games for that system. Just in general, man, I really do not like reorganizing. It's a lot of work, and it takes up time, and it's really just not a whole lot of fun. Sometimes I just wish I had unlimited space to put video games. But that takes me to like my next point that I want to talk about, which is space, which goes kind of along with organizing your game collection or whatnot. At some point in time, you always start to run out of space. Now, I do not have a super big game room, but I have a decent-sized game room, and I'm at that point right now where I am pretty much close to capacity. I am trying to find ways to add more shelves so I can put more stuff in my game room. So at some point in time, you kind of got to make an adjustment. You either have to stop collecting certain things, you have to sell off some of the things that you have, or you just have to slow down on buying. And right now, I have slowed down a whole lot on buying because, to be honest with you, the space that I have left, I want to fill up with more of the stuff that I really, really want. Now, I'm still buying video games, and if I run across great deals, I'm going to pick them up. But in the same sense, there's certain things, like I like collecting vinyl figures. I've really kind of stopped getting those completely because they take up space, and I'd rather have that space for video games. Same thing for retro toys. I haven't been buying as many of those as well. So, we'll see what the future holds, but for right now, I'm just trying to cut back a little bit. So reorganizing and space, those are two big hurdles that you have to overcome if you have a game room or a sizable collection of anything. But what kind of spurred me to make this video today is my next point, which is dusting/cleaning. Man, I tell you what, it could be a nightmare trying to clean these game rooms, especially dusting. I mean, you've got a lot of stuff in here, and it's, dusty. It gets dusty. I mean, everything gets dusty. So along with that, you got to worry about spiders and different things like that as well. But cleaning can be tedious, and it's not a whole lot of fun. And keeping these things dusted is not fun either. To be honest with you, if we went around my game room, I'd probably be fairly embarrassed because there probably is a fair bit of dust in here that I'm not happy or proud about. But, where's the time to do all this stuff? But the next thing on the list that I want to talk about is testing. If you have a ton of video games and video game systems, I have over 30 consoles. I have over 3,000 video games. You want to make sure this stuff works. So about once a year or so, I try to pull everything off the shelves and test it. And that takes a lot of time. Right now, I'm going through my Super Nintendo games. I've got just over 300 Super Nintendo games. It takes quite a while to test these things. And to be honest with you, what happens a lot of times is I end up playing the games. Instead of just testing to see that they're working, I'll spend 15 minutes playing. And then before you know it, you're like, well, crap, I could have tested a bunch of games in that period of time. So it's not the most fun thing in the world going through and testing all this stuff. But in a sense, it can be because you can play these games. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are the same way. I don't have as much time as I would like to play all of my video games, but I try to fit that time in as much as possible. But testing can be tedious. And let's be honest, you can also run across games that you paid money for that don't work no more. So then you've got to either try to fix them or replace them. It's just not the best situation in the world to be a part of. So I guess leading into my next point is price. Games aren't cheap. Let's be honest. And I'm sure you guys are the same way. I've spent way too much money on video games. I mean, I'll be the first one to admit that. But it is a hobby and I enjoy it. So, I don't mind putting money into it. But, the price can be daunting at times, especially if you're trying to go for whole sets of games. Like, I'm going for a complete NES set. That is not cheap. I'm sure a lot of you guys know that. But, I'm just chipping away at it slowly. And that's one of the things that I try to put across in my videos is that I'm casually going for these sets of games. That doesn't mean that it's a race that I'm trying to finish super fast. I'm just picking these games up as I can, and that's most of the fun, to be honest with you. I completed my Wii U set, which was great because I was, trying to do that. But once it's complete, it just kind of sits there, Part of the fun of collecting games is the hunt, going out and trying to find deals on video games. But yeah, overall, the price, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys would agree that it would be great if we could pay less for these video games. But the last thing that I wanted to talk about, I don't really want to come across too negative on this because it's not really a negative necessarily in my situation, but I could see where it could be in other situations. And we have had our spats about it here and there, but it's your spouse. My wife is great. She lets me do things that a lot of women probably wouldn't let their husbands do. And, she lets me have a game room. She lets me have my collection. She lets me spend money on it. But, there are several things that she doesn't want me to do. Which one is spend too much money, obviously. And, I've tried to cut back over time because I was spending way too much money on video games. And like I said before, I'm also running out of space, so it kind of works hand in hand. But another thing that she's really big on is she doesn't want any of my collecting to spill out into other rooms of the house. So right now I have a giant arcade machine setting in our second living room. And she is not a fan of that, let me tell you. And, other various things, like whether it's figures or games or just stuff from mystery boxes that are piling up in other rooms. She really wants me to limit how much of this stuff spills out to the rest of the house, which I can completely understand. But yeah, so that's kind of the last thing on the list. But I mean, I could see where that could be a problem with a lot of people who have collections and game rooms out there. But yeah, so that is basically my short spew here on what I feel like are the worst things about having a game room. But I want to hear y'all's opinions on this. If you guys have anything else that you would like to add to this conversation, let me know. What is your opinion on what's the worst things about having a game room? Do you feel like I hit on a lot of the good points here, or do you have something else that you want to talk about? I would love to have a little conversation with you guys down in the comments. And, just talk about game rooms and what you feel like is the negative part of having a game room or a giant collection. But for now, guys, I think I'm going to end this video. But first, I want to say thank you so very much for watching this episode of GBA. If you haven't, please like, comment, subscribe. It would help me out tremendously. If you guys know anybody who might like this kind of content, please share the video around. I'm always looking to grow the channel a little bit. And guys, I think I'm going to go play some video games, maybe open up some boxes, try to enjoy the rest of my evening. I hope you do too. So until next time, everyone, I'll see you later.